Now, if you're anything like me, you probably suffer from the high achiever's curse. You want to actualize your full potential. You want to experience every experience life has to offer. You want to make the money, travel the world, meet cool people, do cool things, leave an impact on everyone, and I think those are great and valiant goals. But without the proper mindset and foundation to navigate those goals, suffering and consistent karmic loops are waiting for you. Every season of success I've had, every new plateau I've broken through has been countered by a new ceiling. So over the course of this video, if you're anything like me and you want to be able to navigate life effortlessly, you do not want to have to strive or feel like you're grinding or feel like you're beating your head against a wall for an outcome, I have a solution for you. And the only way I'm going to be able to do this is by storytelling. Now, in 2024, I was living in my dream apartment. I was living in downtown San Diego on the 16th floor, had a beautiful view of the city. I was running 2 amazing creator businesses, making all the money I could want. I had the ability to travel the world. I just got back from a trip to Tulum where I spent a month there with some of my best friends. And I felt empty. Something was wrong with me internally. I spent so much time sacrificing myself to attain external material success. I did everything I could to manifest, to extract the potential within myself. But I lost my soul. And I self-sabotaged. I started smoking weed again. I started drinking. I started eating like shit. And this is a common theme in my life. Whenever I lose purpose or I lose sight of what's important, and I orient my mind around half-truths and sacrifice myself for false idols, I fall victim to this cycle. It's karmic. It's like my soul is here to learn this lesson. So I want to introduce to you what I believe the core foundation of a healthy, fruitful, and beautiful life to be, and what it's going to require from you to get there. Now, I believe that we will never be able to reach our true, full, divine potential without surrendering to God. Now, I know this is coming from Grant, who talks about Joe Dispenza, who talks about manifestation, who talks about subconscious reprogramming, and I think that is all amazing information to have. But I believe they are doorways to get you to a deeper truth laid before us by the greatest sages and minds of all time. Now, I believe the New Age concept is limited in nature, because when you spend all your time focusing on manifestation, focusing on reprogramming your subconscious mind, changing your vibration, aligning with the frequency of things you desire, and you do not have God or the divine source at the center of that conversation, then you are not in a surrendered state. You are coming from a place of control, a place of attachment, a place of trying to change and force your way to creating an experience you desire. Now, the thing about the physics is when you come from a place of force, you inherently create a counterforce. When you push against something heavy, it can feel like that heavy thing is pushing back. Versus gravity. Gravity is just holding us all in place, and there is no counterforce acting upon it. I believe the issue with the New Age movement is that it teaches control, not communion or harmony or becoming one with the grander flow of God and the universe and creation. In the Doctor Strange movie, Doctor Strange's master, when he's learning to harness his power, says, "You cannot beat a river into submission. You must submit your powers to the river, and then you can use the river's power as your own." Now, I believe all these metaphors and all these teachings are guiding us to the same state. We just have to adopt a this and that mindset, not a this or that. And the way you're going to be able to adopt that mindset is by realizing that being precedes knowing. Now, what does that mean? Gravity existed before we labeled it gravity. This divine intelligence that organizes our universe existed before we labeled it God, or before we called it the source energy, or before we called it the quantum field. Now, this is important to understand because this is going to be the thing that allows you to detach and let go of labels, to detach and let go of the illusion and the structure that the human logic tries to trap you in, right? The mind wants certainty, and we find certainty through understanding, through placing concepts, through placing labels on things. And in doing so, we are trying to trap a dynamic experience. If you can't tell, life is ever changing in this present moment. It is unfolding right now. It will never be the same. The phrase I like to live by is, "And this too shall pass." When we can understand that life is dynamic and it is flowing, we can pay attention to the true traits of the divine nature. Instead of coming at it from a place of seeking, right? When we are seeking the truth, when we are seeking understanding, we go through the labels, we go through the structure, we go through the logic. But when we practice the wisdom, when we practice the teachings, we enter a state of surrender, where life unveils itself to us naturally. Now, this is what I believe to be the core difference and the core shift that allows us as high achievers and individuals seeking purpose to make the most out of our life and to not fall victim to self-sabotage when we feel like we're not actualizing our potential, when we feel like we're not on time, when we feel like we're off track. This is the only way we're able to navigate that with this core mindset. Now, I believe that the highest state isn't manifesting from the ego, but aligning with divine intelligence. Now, I'm going to suggest to you that, you know what? We do not know everything, because the truth is, the only thing that we know is we never know. How is it that over the course of humanity, we have no idea how the fuck we ended up here? Let's just start there. Let's just start at the root of existence. How the fuck did we end up here? Okay, now, if we can all agree on that, I'm sure we can all agree that, you know what, maybe we don't have control over the universe like we think we do. But knowing that we ended up here, there is a higher intelligence at the root of it, which gives us something to look up to, gives us something to look forward to, gives us something to fall back on, gives us something to have faith and fall into, right? It is that core understanding that allows us to achieve the state we desire. The root of human suffering comes from the illusion of control. This is what Buddhism is all about. If you can remove all of your desires, then you will no longer feel lack. And when you no longer feel lack, the natural beauty and abundance of this moment will reveal itself to you, which is the state we all seek, which is why we pursue success, which is why we pursue purpose, which is why we pursue money, which is why we pursue relationship. Because we are coming from an illusory place of lack. The illusion is the lack. And if that's how we operate in everyday life, then all of our subconscious programs, all of our thoughts, all of our emotions, all of our memories are being impacted by that state of consciousness, right? Our world and our perception of it is being shaped by that state. We think we're in control of our career, our relationships, of our success, our purpose. Now, while we can influence it, we are not wholeheartedly in control. There are so many external factors we cannot control. But this belief in control is what creates fear, anxiety, and pressure. Because think about it. If you go to bed at night and you're like, tomorrow I'm going to wake up and have the best gym session of my life, and I'm going to post that piece of content that I've been telling myself I'm going to post, and you wake up and don't do it, you want to know what that does? That fragments your identity. You're like, oh my God, I'm not who I say I want to be. That highest ideal of myself, that version of myself that's successful, that has purpose, that has relationships, is now further off because I did not act, because I did not choose to be that person. Then the fear, anxiety, and control only manifests deeper because we're more scared. We're more afraid that we're not going to act on that potential. The mind says, I must figure it all out. I got to figure out why I can't do these things. And that mindset is the thing that instantly separates us from peace. When you try to play God, you carry a weight that was never yours. Don't carry the burden of the universe on your shoulders. The paradox is trying to be the source or trying to be the creator is what separates us from it. Now, man was created in the image of God. We are a fractal of the macrocosm. That's cool, but we are not the macrocosm. We are the microcosm. Grant will not be here in 60 years. Hopefully more, maybe 65, 70. But you get what I'm saying. Grant will be restored to the higher power, to the higher truth, to whatever lies at the backbone of this experience. That's where I'm going. That's where you're going. That's what we have to find faith in. That's why we have to orient our wisdom around. Now, it's important to orient ourselves around this information and this divine source, God, this intelligence, because then it repatterns our existence. When you stop feeding the old mindset, you start to rewire your brain. Cool, we check the dispensa box. When you start to feel the fulfillment and the wholeness that comes from having a higher power in your life, you're living from the end, like Neville Goddard talks about. You didn't need 101 different pieces of information and 101 different mindsets to solve all these problems. If we could just come back to the truth, if we could come back to the one piece of information that guides every decision, you're not going to eat like shit because it disconnects you from the source. You're not going to doom scroll because it's a fake world. It is not this moment right here. You see how when you accept that truth into your life, it sets you free. You are liberated from the chains and the jails and the slave mentality of all the outdated false idols. Now, here's why surrender is so important. Because you need to let God be God. You need to let this natural divine intelligence do its thing. It's gotten the universe this far. Go get him, Tiger. Keep doing your thing, God. I trust you. I see what you did with this place. I kind of like it. I like what you did here. And I like what you're doing for my life. So I'm grateful that I have the opportunity to grow. I'm grateful for the opportunity to fall victim to false idols because it only guides me closer back to you. Now, God is divine intelligence, the organizing field behind everything. It is the thing that we label as science. It is the outdoors that we experience as nature. It is the vastness that we experience as the universe, the unknown that we know to be infinite potential. Quantum physics calls it the field of potential energy. But in scripture it says, God spoke and the world became flesh. Okay, let me stitch the picture together for you. Everything's pointing back to the same truth. Because in quantum physics, it's saying, hey, there's this invisible field of energy that exists outside of the laws of the physical universe, meaning that it does not abide to the laws it created. But everything in this physical universe manifests from that. So to me, that sounds like it's the source. That potential energy is the source of everything. Well, what is God? God is the source of creation. He is the creator. He spoke and created the world. Well, guess what physical matter is? It's just energy lowered into a denser frequency. What's word? Frequency. It is this potential energy that was the void, that was nothingness, that is just potential. And it is the first expression of frequency. It's the first expression of manifestation, but it's not physical. It evolved and adapted over time. It's like a song. It's like a music song. That's why it's called the universe, the one song. Now, you don't need to command the universe. You don't need to tell it what to do. You need to become with it. And when you learn to become with it, you realize that at the source of this was all self-mastery. But it's not mastery in the form of control. It's mastery in the form of realization and alignment, of effortlessness. It's effortless to fall in this state when you see through the lies, when you see through the illusion, when you see through the falsehood. It is easy to restore yourself back to this place, and by no means I'm perfect. These last 4 months have been super hard for me, but this is always the truth I come back to. That I was never going to find the answer looking for a business strategy. I was never going to find the answer looking for a way to create a viral video. I was never going to find the answer by asking other humans their opinions and what they think I should do. No. The only thing that allows me to keep moving and keep growing and keep evolving is the surrender. By submitting myself to the river. And the more consistently I do that, the more I master myself. The more I'm no longer governed by my lower states of consciousness. Right? The fear, the lack, the anger, the guilt, the gluttony, the lust, the lack. When you adopt this mindset and accept God into your life, you realize it was not about control. It was about remembering. It was about letting go of all the falsehood we're surrounded by. Now, I need to educate you to be weary of the consequences of egoic manifestation. Without God, manifestation is compensation for lack. Right? You were trying to manifest because you are missing something. And because you are missing something, you're coming from the inherent state of lack. Now, that's falsehood. We have everything we need to survive. Humanity created the dollar. Humanity created your mortgage bill. Humanity created bills, not God. God is fruitful and provides. That's what we need to restore ourselves to. If you want something because you feel empty without it, that desire is rooted in separation. Buddha said, suffering comes from attachment. The reason I attained my mountaintop and self-sacrificed it all was because I was attached to it. Because I thought the money and the high rise and the recognition and the clout and the status was going to cure all the lack I felt inside. Nope. The only thing that gives me purpose is surrendering and letting go. That's the only thing that's given me what I was seeking. Like, who cares about how many views a video gets? Who cares? Money comes and goes. Everything in the universe is in dynamic exchange. We are born, we die. And it's not who cares from a place of apathy. It is a place of acceptance. It is liberating to realize this. This is why you always see me come back to this wisdom. This is why I say it's hard to be on the whiteboard. Because that's me trying to give you a logical explanation of this stuff. Right now I'm in the surrender state. Whatever's coming is coming. Attachment is the idea that we don't trust in God's plan. And it's us saying to the universe, to the higher intelligence, I know better than you. Well, I don't think you created this globe, this solar system, this galaxy, this multiverse. So do you know better than God? Real question. Now, here's the science of surrender. Because it's important to anchor this wisdom. Remember at the beginning I was like, hey, if you orient yourself around this wisdom, you're going to rewire your mind. Because when you no longer focus on the false idols, then you start to unprogram and let go of those subconscious programs that kept you stuck. Because you're placing your time, energy, and attention elsewhere. And the more you do this, the more you awaken your natural state. Your natural state is wholeness. Your natural state is abundance. Your natural state is surrender. You are enough. And we only get there by letting go of the illusion. And in doing so, you get to begin to live from the end, which is what Neville Goddard talks about. But the truth is, when we surrender and enter a relaxed state, our nervous system actually calms. We actually enter the parasympathetic nervous system, where our body begins to heal itself. It goes from fight or flight and control and survival, where we are only focused on our surroundings because we're trying to survive, to a state of creativity, where the divine in our genes can naturally express itself and awaken the things we seek. Our brain waves become coherent, so we have more clarity in our mind, more clarity in our thoughts. We're not confused or scatterbrained. Our heart enters harmony, so our emotions become more full more whole, and we enter flow, which is a measurable state of divine order. But this requires self-mastery. Entropy, or the physics term for all systems of the universe naturally tending towards chaos, is why we eat like shit, why we give up on our goals, why we doom scroll, why we could achieve our financial goals and still fall victim to the unconscious patterns. It's because the only thing you need to be focused on is self-mastery. And at the root of the self-mastery is surrender. It's letting go. It's not trying to control everything. It's entering a relaxed state. It's being cool under pressure. If you got a gun to your head, it is what it is. Here we are, reality. Like, you literally can't do anything else. You could panic. It's going to be your natural instinct to panic. But if you master yourself enough, you're going to come from an internal place of self-referral. And you're just going to be chill, cool, calm, collected. This isn't superstition. It's physics and physiology aligning with faith. That's the issue with humanity, is like we've tended and fell away from religion. Now, religion has its own issues. The church has its own issues. It's corrupt in its own manner. But that's what I said at the beginning. Being precedes knowing. The state you seek exists right now, whether we call it God, whether we call it Buddha state, Buddha consciousness, whether we call it Christ consciousness, whether we call it Muhammad, whether we call it Krishna. It is a state of being unveiled to us through the divine will. Because it had existed, that state had to exist in order to give us this experience. And when we let go of the illusion, and we let go of the control, and we let go of the rose-tinted lenses preventing us from seeing the things we want to see, guess what? We naturally rise. We move beyond the denser states because we're letting go of the material things that held us captive and rising into the higher states that we seek. Surrender's not weakness, it's alignment. It's living with God at the center. It's living with the highest frequencies at the center. It's living with the highest vibration at the center. It's living from the end. It's rewiring your brain. It's overcoming subconscious, unconscious ways of being by choosing to be conscious, by resting in full consciousness. Full consciousness is only unveiled to you in the surrender. You cannot attain it. That's the whole paradox. It's because we seek that we get further separate from it. It is a natural state. When your mind shuts off, when your body enters coherence with your heart and brain, you eat, move, and speak as if your body and life are sacred, because they are, but not sacred in the corny term, sacred in the sense of do not let the external world influence your circumstances. Rest easy in the truth, make the tough choices, master yourself, and the world will submit to you. Seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and the rest shall be added unto you. You stop worshiping false idols, which is money, fame, and validation. You stop forcing outcomes and start following divine rhythm. When God becomes your center, life becomes ordered, peaceful, and meaningful, because you are aligning your life with the frequency that is divine order, that is divine intelligence. That's the theme of this. The surrender is the magic. The surrender is the collapse of the paradox. The surrender is the unveiling of the divine wisdom and magic that you want to use to manifest and govern your life. Well, let it do its thing. Just chill out. The ultimate paradox is finding power in the surrender. You're not just giving up power. You're giving up illusion. The moment you stop controlling, the divine intelligence begins to flow through you. Jesus, Buddha, Lao Tzu, all taught this same truth. Jesus said, "Not my will, but thine be done." Buddha said, "Let go of all desires. Let go of the need to inflict your will upon the experience." And Lao Tzu teaches us about effortless action. How things naturally start to change when we find harmony with it. The river is moving where it needs to move. So by default, we're going to fall into the river and go where we need to go. But we can't force it. We can't swim upstream or else we're just going to stay in the same place. They all point to the same direction, which is the return to the source. Now, the New Age says, you are the creator. Well, I'd argue you are the creation. Man is created in the image of God. And all God wants you to do is be more like him. And the way we be more like him is we fall into a state of surrender and we orient our life around love and service and selflessness. When you got less of the you in the equation, you're going to have access to the all, the totality, because your concept of you is what keeps you separate from the state you seek. The more you surrender, the more the divine intelligence will animate your life. God creates through you. You are the vessel, not the source. We are the physical manifestation of the intelligence. We just gotta listen to the whisper to tell us where to go. And I do that by making videos like this. I selfishly make these for me. It's how I reorient my life around what I know to be true. You guys are watching my evolution in real time. You're watching my wrestle with the divine in real time. And I hope you see that we all share the same story. If you read the comments on my channel, you'll realize we are the same. We are not different. This is the true meaning of abundance, flow, and peace. So, ladies and gentlemen, I encourage you to surrender. I encourage you to let go. I encourage you to detach. And from that place, you will find the state you seek. Abundance will unveil itself to you. Purpose will unveil itself to you. Your energy will shift. Your perspective and awareness of life will shift. And in doing so, I hope you find everything you're looking for. Because it will be unveiled to you when you stop looking for it. I hope you enjoy the style. I love making this type of video. I love just chatting, sharing love, sharing wisdom. Drop a comment with what you want to hear about next. And I'll see you in the next one, ladies and gentlemen. Peace.